following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. It's Friday on Main Street Sports Today. Coming up, Frank Bonner II with the Daily Memphian will join the show. Also, from AL.com, Nubyjas Wilborn. Talk a little SEC recruiting, college hoops. The Winter Olympics start today, and so much more. Happy Friday. Hope you're staying warm. Now to the cozy confines of their individual abodes with the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, Mo Patton. Here's the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao.
I'm going to have to steal JP's line, Mo. Mo's line, JP. Speak for yourself, because it is not cozy in this in my sunroom. I am freezing here. I turned the the fireplace on at like 1 o'clock, and it's still cold. So I don't know. It's all right. It is Friday, and that's all that matters. There we go. Now we're back where we're supposed to be. I can look at you over here, Mo. You get so confused. I
think JP likes playing musical chairs.
Which way you looking?
Mess with folks. So,
yeah, it works out. It works
as long as he's having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. As long as he's having fun, we're all good. Man, what a show we have today. The Olympics get started. Frank Bonner is going to join us to talk about the Southern Heritage Classic, as JP just told you. Of course, Nubyjas Wilborn is going to try to update us on what in the world is happening in Auburn, if anything, it's
could be everything, could be nothing.
Exactly. It's anyway. You're going to want to stick around to hear what Nubyjas has to say.
Whatever it is, it will be an entertaining synopsis thereof.
There's no question there, because this entire thing is completely nuts. Anyway, also, we told you yesterday that SEC coaches are literally throwing punches in the media right now with the NIL. So this is a lot of fun. We'll talk about that later in the show. And also weekend hoops, Lady Vols and UConn, which 3 weeks ago looked like it was a collision course for, a really great matchup. And now not so much, but we'll talk about it anyway. And of course, we'll get into some more college hoops as well. Lots to get to, including our top story, which is Titans related. But before we get to that, JP mentioned he off air. He said, "Man, looks like a really long rundown." Well, it is, because the weekend rundown is usually really long. So let's go ahead and dive right in, Mo. Give them yesterday's results, today's schedule on the rundown.
Is the rundown. The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters, Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support local youth sports in Southern Middle Tennessee.
In high school boys basketball action on Thursday night, Columbia Academy with a 91-62 road win over Lighthouse Christian. Wayne County came to Hampshire and picked up a 66-40 victory. On the girls' side, it was CA 61, Lighthouse Christian 23, and Wayne County with a 73-45 win at Hampshire. NCAA men's basketball action on Thursday night, Stetson with a 77-71 win over Lipscomb. It was Belmont 88, Tennessee State 61, Murray State with a 65-53 victory at Austin Peay.
On the women's side, it was, again, Lady Vols, number 7. Goodness gracious, going to Florida, losing. Just do it for me.
Florida 84, number 7 Tennessee 59 in Gainesville. It was 14th ranked Georgia defeating Vanderbilt 71-56. Stetson down Lipscomb 61-50. Belmont with an 85-46 win over Tennessee State, and Austin Peay in overtime outlast Murray State 67-65.
All right, we'll try it again tonight. At Zion Christian, it's Franklin Christian. Loretto hosting Giles County. That's senior night for the Mustangs. Independence heading to Ravenwood, and Lawrence County going over to Tullahoma.
Marshall County is at Spring Hill. Mount Pleasant travels the short distance to Summertown. Richland is at Hampshire, and also senior night as Columbia Central takes on visiting Summit.
In basketball action tomorrow, moved from today, Culleoka is at Collinwood. That's a 5 p.m. tip. Zion Christian will be at FC Boyd tomorrow, and Santa Fe at Richland.
In high school wrestling action, the state dual tournaments will take place at the Williamson County Ag Expo for Class A, Class AA, Division II AAA, and Division II AAA, as well as the girls. Again, quarterfinals begin at 9 o'clock with Summit taking on Bradley Central, and Nolensville taking on Cleveland in Class AA. In Class A, Fairview faces Tullahoma, and Page takes on Signal Mountain. You can also check out the first takedown, which is up and out, as we spoke with Page coach Benji Gray about his day tomorrow. In junior college basketball on Saturday, Columbia State travels to Chattanooga State for a doubleheader that starts at 2 o'clock.
In NCAA football action, it's the Senior Bowl from Mobile. 1:30 kick. That's on NFL Network. The Grizzlies are down in Orlando, take on the Magic. That's 4 p.m. tip on Valley Sports South. And in the NHL, I don't know how this works, but there are apparently 2 semifinals before the finals take place at 2:15. It's all on ABC and ESPN. You can watch the NHL All-Star everything, the semifinals and finals, whatever that means, starting at 2:15 tomorrow.
NCAA doubleheader action on ESPN Plus. All of this. Tennessee State is at UT Martin with the women playing at 1 and the men to follow. Also at 1 o'clock, Austin Peay is at Morehead State. 22nd ranked Florida Gulf Coast is at Lipscomb at 1:30. At 4:30, Murray State visits Austin Peay again.
No, that's some Morehead State. I'm sorry.
Morehead State is at Murray State tomorrow at 4:30, and at 5:30 tomorrow, Belmont is at Tennessee Tech in doubleheader action.
Yeah, sorry about that. In NCAA men's action, Middle Tennessee is down at UAB in Bartow Arena at 3 o'clock tip on ESPN Plus. 22nd ranked Tennessee is out South Carolina. That's noon on CBS, and LSU 25th ranked at Vanderbilt Memorial at 5 o'clock on SEC Network. In women's play, it's UAB at Middle Tennessee State. That's a 5 o'clock tip on ESPN Plus.
On Sunday, as Chris mentioned earlier in the show, number 7 Tennessee travels to Storrs, Connecticut to take on the 10th ranked Huskies. That's an 11 a.m. start on Fox. Okay. At 2
Your guess is as
o'clock-
good as mine, man.
At 2 o'clock, Alabama women play at Memorial Gym against the suddenly surging Commodores. Again, that's a 2 o'clock start on SEC Network. And at 5 o'clock on FS1, we talked to Ty Norris with Trackhouse Racing about this earlier this week. The Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. Again, 5 o'clock, FS1, they're racing in the Los Angeles Coliseum. Might want to check that out.
It's going to be interesting, no doubt. And that's going to do it for the rundown. Our opening kick today, Mo, comes from right here in Nashville. A little NFL news. The Titans have hired Tim Kelly, not to be confused with Jim. Tim Kelly as an
Easily done.
Yeah, just flip that T right over and you're really in trouble.
Please explain to me the significance of this hire.
Well, apparently the two of them work together in Vrabel. I'm sorry, Mike Vrabel and Tim Kelly work together in Houston. Tim Kelly very well may have been the offensive coordinator this season if the Texans would have allowed Mike Vrabel to interview him last year, but they did not allow him to interview him, which resulted in Todd Downing. So apparently this basically what he's going to be is the Jim Schwartz of the offense. What Jim Schwartz was to the defense this past year, Tim Kelly will be to the offensive side. So I'm not sure what this means as far as, you know, who's going to call plays, what's going to happen. I mean, is this a situation where you've brought in a capable backup and now the starter is looking over his shoulder. This is going to end up being a very significant hire, I think.
Well, it would be more significant if Todd Downing weren't there, but I mean, okay.
Well, I think that's what I think is happening here. I think this is just, my conspiracy theory here is that Mike Vrabel is basically putting a capable guy behind him saying, look, if you screw up, don't come out here stinking up the house, or we've got somebody who can step in for you.
Well, don't say it if you don't mean it. Because I think that there are, my immediate reaction is, why is it in addition to instead of?
That was my first thought too, but apparently Vrabel, well, I guess because Vrabel is insanely loyal. Sometimes to a fault. And this would be one of those cases.
Because I've heard a number of coaches say, if it's you or me, it's you.
Every time.
Should be.
Because if it's not, it's us.
And that does no one any good.
That doesn't do anybody any good.
Certainly not me.
So yeah, because if I'm not here and I'm the head coach, you're definitely not going to be here if you're the assistant. So anyway,
no sense in both of us losing a check,
Oh man, but hey, Tim Kelly headed to Nashville as an offensive analyst, assistant, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what they're calling it.
I wonder where his desk is going to be. Slide over, Todd.
Just put 2 in there.
There you go.
Not a bad idea.
They gonna put those names side by side on the door, or one over top of the other one, or how's that work?
It may be one on top of the other, but there'll be slide outs, so you can slide it out just in case.
There you go.
Oh man, let's talk about the Olympics. They started today, and it's the U.S. has already got a curling win this morning. So
hey,
we'll get into the Olympics.
Didn't take long.
It did not take long at all. It beat Switzerland or something. We'll get into it on the other side of the break. Stick around. Main Street Sports Day returns after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are live from the Lee Company studio, but from our humble abodes, talking about all of the things that are going on in this world of sports across the world, because the next thing we're talking about is in China. So, Olympics 2022 in Beijing taking place. And, you know, the Winter Olympics, to me, are more fun overall than the Summer Olympics. I'm not really sure why I feel that way, but I guess I've just kind of always, you know, been drawn to the skiing and the bobsledding and that sort of thing. Maybe Cool Runnings had a lot to do with it. But what sports are you guys most looking forward to? I know we just mentioned curling. We've actually, the United States has beaten Australia in mixed doubles. They have lost to Italy, lost to Norway, and beat Sweden. So 2-2 to start the mixed doubles round robin. But curling is definitely pretty far up there on the list for Olympic sports that I care about during the Winter Olympics.
I actually watched them last night. Did you watch them?
I did not watch any last night, and I'm not sure how much I will watch. But if I do watch, it'll probably be curling. And I think most of us enjoy curling because it's the thing that most of us could most envision ourselves doing.
100%. There's nothing else on the list that I could do.
Okay. Even close. But I mean, it just looks so cool. The slow motion of the casting, I guess. I don't know what the term is for whatever it is you do with the stone, and then the sweeping, but you got to stand up to sweep on ice. So, but I mean, it's a pretty fascinating sport. It's pretty straightforward. You're trying to land your stone in the target, in the bullseye, and knock everybody else's out.
I think the slowness of it, to me, increases the suspense, especially in a close match. Okay. So maybe that's what, like you're watching it and you're just waiting for it to get down there and you're like, sweep, no, stop.
Yeah.
And then, boom, you've got stones hitting other stones and knocking them out. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah. I was watching last night. The Italians were taking on the Dutch, and it was mixed doubles. I don't recall seeing the mixed doubles. I don't know if that's new for this particular Olympics, but it was interesting, because typically you've got a team of 5 that participate, something like that.
You asking me like I know.
Well, all the ins and outs of curling, but last night they were talking to how the ice for curling is different than the ice for hockey. It's a little more coarse because you've got a concave stone. And an interesting fact I found out last night, that they bring the stones out at least 72 hours before the event to get them acclimated. Yep, to get them acclimated to the temperature of the ice.
YIL.
Yeah.
Yesterday I learned, right?
There you go.
Yeah, I have seen mixed doubles before. It's not yes, there is a men's team, there is a women's team, and there is a mixed doubles team.
To me, it was just being 2 of them because, and there was no rhyme or reason about which one did curling and which one did the sweeping. Sometimes the person that released the stone also did the sweeping. So that was different for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they swept for their own stone?
Yes.
That takes talent.
Sometimes they would follow it and sweep as it went along. Sometimes their partner would do the sweeping.
I've never seen that.
I hadn't either. That was new to me. So,
All right, cool. I think some of the other things I'm looking forward to, we talked about yesterday after the show, luge and bobsled. Those are always fun because they're the fast ones, but it's something that we can all we know who won because there's a time.
Here we go.
But yeah, this is the question is how many of these are actual sports? And by definition, my definition of sport is someone has to be actively trying to stop you from obtaining the goal. In a way, curling kind of a sport because you're knocking folks out of the way.
It is a head-to-head as opposed to
it is head-to-head,
timed or judged event.
Right. Hockey, obviously, that's a sport.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure anything else is a sport by my definition. Now, you guys might have a different definition, but the rest of these are just athletic events.
And I'm okay with that.
Competition.
Yeah. And for me, I'm okay with that distinction. Where I have an issue is something's a sport and what is not what you classify as not a sport is just nothing. It's nothing. An event, a competition, I think is a fair way of putting it.
To me, I mean, if I can't look at it and know who won, I don't know what you define it as necessarily, but that's where I differentiate. I mean, even, the luge, the bobsled, that kind of thing, the skiing, it's timed. And so you can see what you're competing against each other by who puts up the best time or whatever. But
so is freestyle skiing the same as cross country skiing? Because freestyle skiing is the jumps and
that is judged. Yeah. So that is more in the competition, as you put it. I think Mo's got a point that, the timed events or sports, depending on your definition, like the bobsled, like cross country or downhill skiing, it is timed. However, it's timed against your opponents.
Yeah.
Right. So
sure.
There is somebody out there that is trying to better you, not necessarily stop you, but trying to do better. So you're still competing against others.
See, I don't think golf is a sport. I think golf would be infinitely more fun if someone were hitting a second ball and trying to knock yours off the green. Way more fun.
Captain Chaos is at it again.
No kidding.
I mean, let's be honest, guys. Golfers, ish, maybe.
Good luck with that one. That's going to be a tough sell.
I think a lot of them are very athletic, but if you can play the game at 80, I'm not sure I can call it a sport.
Wait till you get to be 80.
I'm going to call it an athletic.
You may feel a little differently about that at that point.
Pickleball, definitely a sport.
Oh, man.
We know some people in the pickleball world.
We do.
I would enjoy it. I haven't played it yet. I'd like to play it though.
Let's go play pickleball and record it and like video it and make it a segment. I think it would be phenomenal.
I don't know if people want to see that.
I think it'd be hilarious.
I don't know if they want to see that.
Oh man, let's talk to Frank Bonner II. We mentioned earlier this week that the Southern Heritage Classic is in jeopardy. At least one team's gone. So we'll talk to Frank Bonner of the Daily Memphian to get the details on what's going on. So come back with us. Stick around. We'll be right back on Main Street Sports Today. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Coming to you live from the Lee Company studio here in southern Middle Tennessee. Glad to have you with us here on this Friday edition as we get you ready for the weekend ahead in sports and all of the things that have gone on in the last 12 to, well, I guess it's been 16 hours at this point in the Southeastern Conference, other things that have gone on this week, and much more, including our next segment, Mo, where the unfortunate demise of one of the HBCU's most heralded games over the last 3 decades, really. Tennessee State and Jackson State meeting in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl for the Southern Heritage Classic, but announced earlier this week, Jackson State has pulled out, citing a scheduling conflict with the Southwest Athletic Conference, which is the SWAC and the conference that Jackson State plays in. So I'm really interested to hear what the background is here. And lucky for us, you were able to reach out to a reporter at one of our favorite state websites, the Daily Memphian, and grab Frank Bonner, who is going to join us now on the phone. Frank, welcome in, and thanks for joining us.
Appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, Frank. I checked in with John Varlas over at the Daily Memphian, one of our friends of the show and one of my all-time favorites, and just said, "Hey, who over there can get me up to speed on the Southern Heritage Classic?" And he said, "Frank Bonner is your guy." So, Frank Bonner II, get me up to speed on the Southern Heritage Classic.
Yeah. So when the news broke, I ended up tracking down, the founder and promoter, Fred Jones. I ended up tracking down his number and chatted with him, and basically, he had no, no heads up that this was going to happen. You know, he got contacted by Jackson State, like around 6 p.m. Tuesday evening. He said that, they were going to breach the contract and pull out. And he had no warning. I don't know if you guys saw that TSU president came out and said they didn't even get a courtesy call. They found out that Jackson State pulled out through a national scheduler. And so, it was really, out of nowhere as far as Fred is concerned. And he said it was a blow, right? It's another hurdle that they have to get over. he's not in a space where he thinks the Heritage Classic is just going to end. I've talked to him, and then Jeff Calkins also talked to him, and he was basically kind of scrambling, trying to look for another opponent for the 2022 game, since Jackson State pulled out of all three that was on the contract. So he's still in the mix of trying to do that. He said that it's just another hurdle they have to get on, and he anticipates still trying to make this type of event happen despite Jackson State coming out, because he said it's just more than a football game. And I think everybody around this community knows that a lot goes into this. It's more than just an average, typical football game. There's a lot of vendors included, the band, businesses, and so Fred has created this entire spectator event around this one football game, and he was saying the formula to do that is still there, even though Jackson State's not going to be a part of it. He said you would want Jackson State and TSU to be the two teams playing, but if that's not the case, you can still have something special even without that matchup.
Absolutely. Frank Bonner with the Daily Memphian joining us here on Main Street Sports today, discussing the Southern Heritage Classic, Jackson State's decision to pull out of it earlier this week, and the impact thereof. This game, I think, was played initially in 1990, and the matchup, with the exception of 2 years, has been Tennessee State and Jackson State every year since 1990, I do believe. I assume, Frank, that Tennessee State is still committed to the event if Fred Jones is able to find a suitable opponent.
Yeah, so I haven't been directly told whether Tennessee State would or wouldn't be, but my assumption would be that TSU would still be a part of it. And going back to your point about it, starting in 1990, I mean, this was an event that Fred said the two athletic directors from the schools came to him because they wanted to play a rivalry game. They wanted to keep the rivalry alive, but didn't necessarily want to do the home and home. They came to him saying they wanted it to be played in Memphis, and asked him could he get the ball rolling. So this is something that he's worked on. This is like his baby, so to speak, that has been embedded in this area's culture for so long. It does kind of suck that it's ending with JSU pulling out the way they did. But this was originally started by two athletic directors coming to him as a way to kind of keep this rivalry game, afloat and exciting.
And I think, as Chris and I spoke earlier this week, this is a really important game for Tennessee State because Memphis is such a feeder, for lack of a better phrase, for the school, for the football program. And as they go down there and recruit, being able to tell those kids, we're going to get you home to play a game, and you don't even have to tell them at this point, because if they're from Memphis, if they're from West Tennessee, they know about the Southern Heritage Classic, and I'm sure that's a selling point as they go down there and recruit. So this is a pretty big deal for Tennessee State, and I would have thought it was a big deal for Jackson State as well. Has there been, Frank, any indication as to what the scheduling conflict is that prevents Jackson State from being able to continue to play in the Southern Heritage Classic?
No, it hasn't been, and I think that's the most interesting part about how this whole thing came about in terms of why they're pulling out, is there hasn't been any clear indication as to what that conflict is. So, I'd be curious to see, when that information starts to come out, what the conflict was, because in the email that was sent to the Classic, there was no indication as to what that was. So I don't know if this is, that was the reason that they wanted to pull out, and they just kind of threw that on there. I don't know, but there hasn't been any clear indication as the direct conflict that would cause you to breach your contract agreement.
I may have a thought on that.
The SWAC hasn't said anything?
So I can hear you?
The SWAC hasn't said anything then?
No, I haven't seen the SWAC say anything yet. That I don't know if sometimes this type of stuff, something like this happens. All we know, the SWAC could be putting together a press release right now to explain. Like we don't know, but as of right now, no, the SWAC hasn't said anything, to my knowledge, about what that conflict is. And I wonder, maybe the agreement that they have agreed to, that information hasn't come out. So maybe the SWAC is, waiting for some dominoes to drop before they can come out and say why or whatever. There's a lot of things going on in the background that we don't all know. So I wonder, in the next week or so, will the SWAC come out and say why Jackson State pulled out the way they did? Because the other part of this, and I didn't dive into this much with Fred, is you pulling out of a contract that was supposed to go through 2024. Is there any money that Jackson State's going to have to owe the Classic? Because a contract is a contract.
I can tell you what my theory is, Frank, about this. And this is just a theory, but my guess is the new SWAC in-conference showcase that is being played at Legion Field, in addition to the Orange Blossom Classic that they have to play against Florida A&M, you've now taken another home game out of Jackson. And, oh, by the way, they're getting 60,000 people a game at Jackson State. So now, instead of that extra home game, they've got to go to Legion Field, right? So, and that's the SWAC's decision. That's not a Jackson State decision. So now it looks like perhaps they feel like they can make more money with an extra home game. That is my theory. Couldn't tell you if that's true or not.
Right, and to go along with that, I wonder if there is some financial penalties that have to take place because they pulled out. If this is a decision that was forced by the SWAC and Jackson State couldn't do anything but abide by it, does that mean the SWAC is going to pay that financial contribution for them?
They're certainly going to make a lot of money in Birmingham with that Classic, so I guess it's possible.
What is the date of the showcase, Chris?
I don't think the date is the problem. I think the loss of the home game.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but unless the date of the showcase and the date of the SHC are the same, then that's not going to be on the SWAC. Jackson State decided to pull out independent of whatever the SWAC schedule to, like you said, get a home game. What you're saying makes perfectly good sense. That ain't on the SWAC unless the dates directly conflict.
Well,
this year, the date was supposed to be September 10th.
For the Southern Heritage.
Yeah.
Is that correct? All right. And the SWAC is going to play their first of the SWAC Challenge, I guess is what they're calling it, the SWAC Classic. I'm sorry. I don't see a date in this release, which means it very well could be
same weekend.
But I certainly could not imagine them playing the Orange Blossom Classic on the 4th and then turning around 6 days later and playing in Birmingham. Of course, I guess they were going to do that in Memphis, so why not? Yeah, interesting. And the worst part about it to me is we were so excited about Eddie George, Deion Sanders meeting in Memphis for the next 3 or 4 years. It was going to be really cool. That just brought an extra vibrancy to the rivalry. And now this.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to bring up. I mean, if you're Deion Sanders, don't you want that matchup? Don't you want that publicity of Deion Sanders versus Eddie George? Like, I think that's, from a recruiting standpoint, I think it benefited both schools, especially with those two coaches at the helm, to continue to play this game.
I just feel like Jackson State is kind of doing Jackson State these days. And I feel like the SWAC component of this decision is them just using that for some cover for something else. And so I'm really interested to find out and to keep up with this, to find out, what the actual conflict is that has resulted in Jackson State's decision to pull out of the Southern Heritage Classic after, basically 30 years. Frank Bonner II here with the Daily Memphian to offer us a little insight into that. Frank, appreciate you taking the time with us. I know you got a full plate with everything else that's going on down there, but thanks for visiting with us.
I appreciate y'all having me on. I hope I was some help.
Absolutely, man. We always appreciate the insight of our friends at the Daily Memphian, no doubt. And we're looking forward to this, like you said, Mo, the big reveal of what it is.
Yeah. I mean, certainly there's more.
Makes sense.
There's more to it than we know, clearly, and as we learn more, I think it's going to continue to be intriguing.
As someone who, and you've paid attention to the SWAC for a long time, I paid attention to the SWAC for a long time. Will we ever know?
Not necessarily.
That's the question. We may or may not ever find out. That may be the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
You're not wrong. Yeah.
Oh, it's time for halftime, man. We need to take a break because we got a lot of college football to get to, and getting ready for the NIL punches that were thrown, the Auburn situation that's coming our way. We need to get ready and take a break, take a sip of water, and come out punching. So y'all come back with us. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
All right, so we don't bring politics into this show, but there was a person who is running for the Senate who stopped by at a Waffle House and had a couple of pieces of dry toast, some plain hash browns, and
a fried egg over easy.
I think it was over hard. Because
Okay.
I didn't even see a yolk at all. That's what's so crazy. I'm like, come on, man. You couldn't even get a decent egg. Anyway, we've talked plenty on this show about how we get our hash browns, right? Smothered. JP and I are smothered covered chunked or smothered covered capped. Is that right, JP?
Smothered, covered, and capped.
Cheese, onions, mushrooms.
Yes.
Mo is
Scattered too. I like them scattered. I'm a scattered.
They're always scattered, right?
Well, some people don't like them scattered.
But they come scattered. You don't have to order scattered.
No. I think they come in the shell or in the
in a circle.
The egg thing. Yeah, they come that way. If you want them scattered, they don't put them in that.
I have never ordered them scattered, and they've always come just all the way on the plate.
I always order them scattered. So maybe they don't, but that's scattered, smothered, covered, capped.
Mo is definitely not that.
I'm scattered, covered, maybe chunked with ham.
With some ham.
But,
yeah, that's not bad.
No smothered, no capped.
Here's the question.
No
what
veggies.
else do you get at Waffle House? What is your go-to order?
My go-to is the pecan waffle with
Ooh.
bacon and hash
Ooh.
browns scattered and covered.
It's a good one, Mo. Yeah, if I'm oftentimes I'll get the pecan waffle as a side. That's right. Yep, you heard me. Cheese eggs.
Yep.
Excellent. And I tell you, don't go to sleep on the breakfast sandwiches. Okay. Like a sausage, egg, and cheese
Mm-hmm.
on toast. I'm telling you.
No,
I'm hungry now.
Right?
Wow.
I'm the 2-egg breakfast, right? But I want to add cheese to the eggs.
Yeah. Scrambled.
So I'm going to get
some scrambled. Yeah.
Scramble with cheese. Then I'm going to get bacon, and then I'm going to get a bowl of grits. Of course, it comes with the toast, and then I'm getting a peanut butter waffle too.
A peanut butter waffle.
Oh yeah,
Now,
peanut butter waffle is elite.
Okay. Is it?
I'm not a big egg guy.
That's understandable. Look, I don't like eggs either. That's why you got to put all the cheese in them.
You don't eat eggs, period?
I'm not a big egg guy because,
Really?
if I'm at home, then I can scramble them and get them as firm as I like them. And I've been accused of being a diva when I go out to eat. And, and so sometimes it's just easier to just not mess with it at all. If I can't get stuff the way I want it, then I just don't want it. If that makes me a diva, then yeah.
Bring it on yourself when you order like that.
Well, I'm paying for it. Don't I have the right to get it the way I want it? I've had this conversation. So,
yes,
Oh, you nailed it. Y'all come back on the second half. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Halftime is over on Main Street Sports today. Coming up in the second half, Nubyjas Wilborn from AL.com will be joining us, talk a little Auburn football, SEC recruiting, also college hoops as well. So all that coming up right here on Main Street Sports today. Back to the cozy confines of their humble abodes, the Lee Company Studios with Mo Patton. Here's Chris Yao.
Welcome back in. It is the second half of Main Street Sports today from the Lee Company Studio. Chris Yao, Mo Patton here with you on this Friday edition as we get you ready for the weekend. But boy, what a week we have had. What a week we have had. I saw someone who listed out all of the things that have happened in SEC football this week. Like Monday was Jimbo Fisher's it was Nick Saban saying that they had, Alabama had never paid players and the NIL is just going, it is the worst thing that could have ever happened to the NCAA football. And then the next day, it felt like it was a little shot at Jimbo because, hey, man, you've never had a top 5 class before, and now you suddenly got one kind of thing. And then Jimbo's like, everybody out here who's talking trash about us needs to, sit down, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, Mr. 8-4 with the number 1 overall class, whatever. And then Wednesday was I guess Lane Kiffin had something to say about it. And then Thursday morning, we find out Pete Golding's gotten a DUI. And so Auburn boosters said, well, we can't let Alabama have the bad coach news cycle. Let's throw our coach under the bus. What do you say? So, yeah, it's been a nuts week. Absolutely crazy. And the fact is, Mo, college football in the Southeastern Conference does not have an offseason.
Much to the chagrin of SEC beat writers.
Can we take a vacation every now and then? Come on.
We can't. We can't.
No
Because
vacation.
just as soon as they go to the beach or whatever, all hell breaks loose. You know,
Brian Harson's on vacation.
He might stay on vacation.
God, it's nuts.
Who's he with?
Dang, that was good. I'm assuming family number one.
Yeah.
This is, but the NIL situation
Took
is
his wife and his girlfriend, but not at the same time, right? Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. The NIL thing is what I want to stick with here, because this is, I mean, these guys they're literally using the media to throw punches at one another. Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, all three of them.
Well, they're using the media right now.
Oh, definitely.
Because Jimbo Fisher sounded like he was ready to take it to the street.
With a media member, if they said something cross.
Or maybe with a coach. Heck, I don't know.
Let's go to the video that we have of what Jimbo Fisher said on Tuesday.
The hypocrisy is a joke. It's an absolute joke, and it's insulting to our staff, how hard we work, to how we do things, and it's insulting to Texas A&M, because there ain't a better place to go to school and play ball. We don't like it. We're coming on. Get used to it. All right? We ain't going nowhere. It's an absolute joke that people put the hard work in and do it. It's irresponsible, but it's funny when they get it's all okay. Ball games are changing, man. And it ain't because of NIL and what goes on. It's pretty irresponsible of all of them. They're clowns.
We'll go next.
If they got a problem with it, come see me. I ain't a hard guy to find. We'll be in some meetings. You can say anything you want. We can do anything you want. I ain't got no problem with it. I promise you that shit.
All right, Travis.
The hypocrisy is a joke.
The hypocrisy
Absolutely.
is a joke. And this is him talking straight at coaches. This is him taking a shot at Nick Saban. Tell me it's not.
Is it a requirement that if you are Nick Saban or have coached for Nick Saban that you use the word "I"?
I think it is. I legitimately, I pick up some things that my brother says a lot. If I'm down there for a week or two, I'll start picking up phrases that he's saying, or he'll pick up something I'm saying. So I think "I" has just become the, oh, you coached for Saban.
Yeah, there you go. There's your sign. Yeah.
But he is legitimately just taking a shot at Nick Saban, because the day before, Nick said NIL is basically buying players.
Is he taking a shot at Nick Saban, or is he responding to a shot Nick Saban took?
Yeah. I think I'm not saying that he's wrong for taking the shot, but because we all know, whether you want to admit it or not, Alabama has most certainly incentivized players to come to the university. Period. They have. Jimbo Fisher knows it. Everybody else knows it.
But you know what? My background is high school athletics in Tennessee, and in Middle Tennessee in particular. And recruiting at the high school level in Tennessee is illegal. But you have certain programs that at certain times in history have been so good that while there were allegations of recruiting, the fact of the matter is it ain't like their coaches were staking out junior pro football games or middle school basketball games or anything like that. If you wanted to play at an elite level, or if you wanted your child to play at an elite level, you were seeking those folks out. They weren't coming to you. And I feel like that's a situation at Alabama. I mean, it's like folks used to say about UT women's basketball. They're not recruiting, they're selecting. And I think it's the same thing with Alabama. So I don't know how much incentivizing they're necessarily doing. They're just
maybe not now, but you're telling me in 2009 they didn't?
12 years
after losing to La Monroe in his first year, he goes and wins a national championship 2 years later.
Superior coaching? I don't know.
My point is, at some point, Alabama did
bend some rules.
The suits, the Chargers, that's a whole Julio Jones in general. But anyway, yes, that's what I'm talking about here. And then Lane Kiffin goes right back on Wednesday and takes a shot at Jimbo. Yes, the game is changing, but it is because of NIL. Texas A&M doesn't get number one recruiting classes in Jimbo's third year because they went 8-4 and beat Alabama. Period. And if he thinks that that's why they're getting them, then I've got some land in Arizona he and I need to speak about.
Well, maybe he does think that. Maybe, plausible deniability. What did you know and when did you know it?
Exactly. He knows, but he don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
and he don't want to know.
I don't know what you're talking about. I couldn't tell you.
You've seen Blue Chips, haven't you?
Exactly. Oh, let's talk about the Auburn situation.
You better be at practice tomorrow.
Such a good, gosh, it's a good movie. Nubyjas Wilborn is going to try to update us on what in the world is going on in Auburn. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's get to him on the other side of the break. This is Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back to the Lee Company studio after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Christian Mopatton here, coming to you from the Lee Company studio, and It's almost the end of the week. And boy, when bombs drop in Auburn, they just drop. Because as high as their Bruce Pearl-led basketball team is riding right now, the football team, well, kind of like Regional Kings, all the news about your football team ain't been good news. I don't think any of the news about the football team recently has been good news. You talking about losing your defensive coordinator, hiring an offensive coordinator, just have him leave. And then 2 days later, I don't know if this story is supposed to cover up whatever story was about to come out on the offensive coordinator that they hired that had to leave because he wasn't fit for the position. It's all just an absolute hodgepodge of mess down on the plains.
And the bottom line is Nubyjas Wilborn of AL.com should be getting combat pay right about now.
Hope he's got riot gear.
Yeah. Nubyjas, good afternoon.
What's up, boys? Just right, man. I just want to have a question. I'm on this.
Oh, no. Did you get any of that?
Let's try to get him back in with a hopefully better signal. So carry on. Stand by.
Good.
Yeah. Man, when I saw the not fit for the role,
I missed that.
yeah, apparently that was the.
Did he get unfit once he got there?
That is what I'm thinking. And I made the joke that, well, clearly Brian Harsin doesn't like competition in the building. So, but there was a Twitter space last night that I know Nubyjas was in, as well as many others, including a bunch of Alabama fans. That was an absolute just it was a melee in there.
Oh,
I mean,
okay, so
folks
explain to
went
me what
crazy.
a Twitter space. What is a Twitter? Is that like a chat room?
It is okay. It's a chat room. So, like, if you and I had a Twitter space, we were the host, right?
Mhm.
We could actually tap or allow someone else to speak in the space, and everybody else is just listening. I think if we can find a way to make this show go onto a Twitter space and have people from Twitter hop on and talk during the show, it would be super cool. Anyway, Nubyjas may be back, and if he is, Nubyjas was in that Twitter space last night too, and it was the wild, wild west.
Man, that Twitter space is insane. Can you hear me now? Let me see something here. Hold on. I'm going. Hear me?
Yes, that is much better.
Right here. Okay, cool. I just had to pull over, man. So I'm on 65, headed back from Mobile, been in the Super Bowl all week, following out Russell's prayer. And I had a story I was going to do about how Brian Harsin was starting to improve his relationship. He did a really good job at exposing him and Nick Saban, and Harsin it sounded great, absolutely no support. A bunch of fans, he made jokes about how, hey, he said this I did it, so here I am.
All right, we'll try it again.
Yeah,
guys.
Nubyjas had a story. Basically, what he said there that I could hear is he had a story going about how well Brian Harsin had handled his first season at Auburn and how he was handling all these things. And then this morning, you've got guys who are transferring out of Auburn talking about how he's a great coach and a terrible human. And then Smoke Monday comes back and says, yeah, awful guy. But then you've got another guy who's like, nah, Coach Harsin's awesome. We love him. What are you talking about? It's Auburn is a mess.
Goodness.
Literally
after they had re-recruited Smoke Monday. Because wasn't he supposed to be in the portal and then he wasn't?
I don't know.
Well, was going to go in the portal, but then he didn't. He pulled back out. By the way, I'm back. So Harsin
And you
was
sound great.
and then, yeah, Harsin was able to keep him. Then I thought Smoke had a really good season, and apparently, I guess Smoke maybe wasn't as happy as we thought he was. And Lee Hunter said some things too. He transferred back with Gus. I mean, saying someone treated you like a dog, I mean, that's really hard to quantify. What does that mean? What I do know is that there were guys who, now, from the perspective of Hartson and the people around him, he is an old school, kind of guy, right? Pull your pants up, go to class, don't post stupid stuff on Twitter, go on time for practice,
God forbid he has to ask those things of kids.
Wear a coat and tie for Tiger Walk, when you walk in the stadium, because I want you to look uniform and look like a team, maybe don't use drugs, and, play hard in the game.
Completely unreasonable expectations, Nubyjas.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm again, and maybe this is because, I was born in the early 80s and maybe I'm old. I don't know. But from what I've been told, I don't think Hartson asked for a whole lot of things that are very unreasonable. Oh, by the way, when you make a mistake, acknowledge you made a mistake and don't make that mistake no more.
It all sounds reasonable enough, and yet
I would think, but hey, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is. I'm really befuddled by this. There was the rumor, the alleged thing. I guess you could, and I feel bad even quantifying this because I don't believe it to be true about some young lady that he, or the staffer that he slept with, and really, to be quite honest, it's embarrassing that someone will make up such a thing. I mean, there's just no other way to say it, and it's a shame you even have to quantify something like that. Like, all right, if you don't like the guy in the football, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
But Nubyjas, this is something that Auburn has done over and over and over. I mean, they're gonna find something to depend on you or whatever. Auburn boosters are, and I hate to say it, they're worse than Tennessee, and that's saying something.
I had a couple interesting. I had a prominent person within the program say, we call ourselves the Auburn family, but we're really more like the Game of Thrones.
That makes sense.
I had another person. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I had another person say to me, well, it was Price who was the Price of Dubose that was had the stripper.
It was Price. Dubose had sex with a staffer apparently inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Mike Price is the one who was at the Pensacola strip joint who said it's rolling, baby.
Okay. Well, somebody said, well, at least Price actually did sleep with the stripper. if you're going to do it, at least actually have some sex or something. And again, listen, there are legitimate concerns with Hartson being a cultural fit, okay? I don't think that's very much of a secret, him being from where he's from. But even the accusations, people say, well, he doesn't know how to recruit in the hood. Boise made his living off JUCO players, man.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that Brian Hartson has been in some hoods, okay? He's Boise. Go look at Boise's roster and look at where their players come from. That dude he's been in Compton, he's been in Watt, he's been everywhere to get players. I do not buy that. Again, and I've interacted with Brian Hartson before. Often inside. Now again, it's different because I'm a journalist and because of where I work. There's going to be a certain amount of respect he's going to show you based on that alone. I don't know if the man is racist or not, but I've never depicted that from him. I've never depicted that in my interactions with him, on record or off record. Now, are there legitimate concerns about some of the things that happen with the football team? Yes. But most of those guys were players he recruited. There was a trust issue on both sides. I do think a lot of the players that stayed are kind of guys you want to stay. Quite honestly, even look at the transfer portal, name me a player other than this who you'd really be like, oh my God, Auburn is not going to make it without having that player on that team.
There's not one.
Exactly. So people are making a big deal about the players leaving, but show me anybody who you really did.
I mean, Bo Nix, but you've
Right.
got
But even
you've got
then,
Zach
look how
Calzada
Auburn
now.
fans treated- Yeah, but look how Auburn fans treated him. When Nick Dinley, look how they treated him.
Look,
Yeah, go
Auburn
ahead,
fans are toxic, man. Which every SEC fan base has its toxic fans, but woof, that Twitter space last night was rough.
It was wild, man. I just was like, okay. There just came a point where, for me, as a professional journalist, I can't even be in there anymore. Like, I was trying to be like, hey, guys, look, these are some rational things that are happening. Let's listen to what's rational. Don't go all off. But then when people started throwing out the names and stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to get out of there. I don't want to be attached to this part. But, again, the main thing is basically we're at a point right now, from everything I can see, is they're going to have to resolve this by the end of this weekend, one way or the other, is what they're going to do. It's either going to be because Harson's not going to step down. I don't get the impression, he's as of right now, I don't get the impression he's going to step down. He wants to be the coach at Auburn. He's willing to fight for it. Now, what that looks like, I can't tell you. So either they're going to have to figure out a buyout or something they can agree on, or they're going to have to try to fire him with cause, which I don't think they have enough as of right now to fire him with cause, which means they can face a lawsuit, or you let him come back and coach the team for another year.
The fact that this is even a conversation, Nubyjas, I mean, what does that say?
You know, something good. Something good. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, seriously. This is ridiculous. I mean, there's no other way to say it. There's no nice way to put it. This is silly. Now, okay, we mentioned Derek Benson. I mean, that happens, man. I mean, that happens. Now, there are some conversations about the way he left. I really kind of want to avoid that because there's things that cannot be corroborated to a point where I would feel comfortable saying publicly. But if you look at what Harsin said about it, and I asked him directly, what happened with Derek Mason? And on record, he said, hey, that conversation was between us and what he said to the team. Now, there are people on the team who said that Mason said he was stepping down. I won't get into what he said in there because I was told that off record. I want to get into that, but what I will say is people left her under the impression that he wasn't taking another job, that he needed some personal time. That was the impression from people I spoke to who were in that room that day. All right, that's what was told to me. 3 days later, he took another job.
and had interviewed for that job before that.
And for what he said, his statement to Oklahoma State, keep in mind, he didn't give a statement in the release. And I put that in my story that I wrote about it on AL.com. Mason didn't give a statement. Davis did. Now, whether Davis told the truth or not, I don't know. Time will tell. Because there's different rumors that you hear about what happened with Davis as to why he left. But the thing I've heard is most consistent was, he realized, hey, maybe this college thing is not what I thought it was going to be, and I'm out.
So maybe Mo, maybe he's not a fit rather than not fit.
Right. I haven't heard unfit. I haven't heard that. Now, I've heard different things. I've heard basically it just wasn't a good fit for who he is and what he wants to do with his life.
That makes a little bit.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Nubyjas, you mentioned that you were born in the early 80s. I was born earlier. But one of the things that I've observed over the course of observing athletics is if you're getting rid of a coach, you need to have a pretty good idea who you're going to replace him with, especially if you're getting rid of a college football coach in early to mid-February.
You don't want to hear the answer.
You
don't want to hear the answer to that question.
Oh, Sure, I do. Should this thing go where it's going, who replaces Brian Harsin at Auburn?
I don't know. Maybe Kevin Steele. Who knows?
Kevin Steele.
I mean, that people. There are
Well, you
people
warned me. You did warn me.
I mean, listen. There are people who would like it. Again, I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not reporting that. I mean, let me be very clear. I'm not reporting that. I'm just saying there are people who would be very happy with Kevin Steele getting the job if that were the case.
Yeah. Here's
now. Wait, maybe Bobby Petrino. I don't know. I mean, what is I'm joking. Okay, listen,
Bobby Petrino. Nice. Nice pull on the bias. Nice pull.
Hey, I'm just kidding, but I'm just saying. I mean, but seriously,
Hey,
I mean, go ahead.
There's a guy about what 20 miles down the road who's been wanting that job for a minute.
Well, you know, a lot of people. I would say, all things considered, even with all the madness, I mean, they're building a football-only facility. They're about to build a new practice gym for the basketball team. One thing about it, Auburn will spend money on athletics, on all of the sports. They will spend the money. They will provide the support. There are a lot. I mean, you're in a talent-rich area. There are a lot of benefits to being at Auburn. Absolutely. If you can handle all the factions and the people and the things that you got to do to actually make the thing work.
Mo, should we ask him who the question we asked earlier this week? I wonder where does the filling the offensive coordinator position fall on the checklist right now for Brian Harsin, who is apparently still on vacation?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I know that there were conversations being had. There definitely the search had started. I kind of don't know where it is because what was it? Okay, yesterday was Thursday, right? Today's Friday. I just had to make sure of days. Yesterday I got a text from someone. Hey, what have you heard about Brian Harsin with electing people to staff? And that was around 10 a.m. And pretty much from that point to now, my life's pretty much been upside down. Because I had to ask someone who would know. They're like, hey, that just isn't true. And then I'm like, other things started coming out. And it became a thing. And then this morning, it's really, overnight and into the morning, really hit the fan. But even with the initial report, like, what did the story even say? What did it actually say? That he
Nothing.
might be in trouble, but there's no. Right? What are we doing, man? That's not. What are we even doing? Seriously.
Hey, it's a .com, man, and I don't mean this as AL.com. I mean, it's a .com publication. Look, sometimes you're going to get some goofy stuff like this. It is what it is.
It's like, come on, man. Like, what are we actually doing? What are we actually saying? Say the thing that is a thing. If it's a thing. If you don't got it, then you don't got it. And that's the biggest problem with it. Like, at some point, we got to get back. If we're going to be journalists, and good be journalists, and actually report what we know. That's why, even for me, I try to be very careful what I say in relation to this. I mean, because this thing is going to cost. Like, if Harsin gets fired, his whole staff can get fired. Now, Harsin will probably get a buyout. He'll be fine. But there's people on his staff who don't make millions of dollars. People who went out of their way to come down with him in hopes of this. And because, essentially, Harsin doesn't take the right hands to kiss the right babies, he might lose the job, which happens. And now they're trying to do it without cause, with cause, so he doesn't have to get paid.
And I'm going to say one thing. All journalists aren't journalists.
That's right.
Well, there's also that. And I'm really trying to be careful. I don't want to get to know back and forth pitch fest. I've done that, and that stuff's exhausting. That's not good business either. But what I will say is what I do know when it comes to this as of right now, up until yesterday, they were engaging in the search for an offensive coordinator. It was a priority up until about, I guess, maybe whenever that story that I don't even want to know if I want to dignify it by calling it a story.
Right.
10:30 last night.
Yeah, I'm like, is that even? I don't even want to dignify it as a story because, I mean, one, most people couldn't read it because you had to pay to read it. I'm not paying to read that stuff. And two, go ahead.
No, I just gonna say amen.
Yeah, so I'm not paying to read something is that actual thing. Number one. Number two, when I go to call people about it, like, hey man, this is just BS. This is BS. It now carries into the morning, and it's just interesting how it happened right when these meetings were already scheduled. It's no different than last week with the stuff with Bruce Pearl going to Louisville. He was never going to Louisville, and he was already going to get what he wanted when it came to his salary as well as the arena renovation. It was already going to happen. They already doing the meeting.
Nubyjas Wilborn of AL.com talking Auburn sports. We appreciate you, Nubyjas, as always. Thank you for shedding some light and some clarification on these issues.
I do the best I can, man. I appreciate y'all, man.
Oh, we're gonna have a short end of the week on the final segment, but that's okay. We didn't have a whole lot to talk about anyway, did we? We just, just some UT hoops and everything. Nothing nearly as exciting as Auburn, but you definitely want to find out. Do we think Kennedy Chandler's coming back? On the other side of the break, we'll tell you. Main Street Sports Day returns after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Final segment of Main Street Sports today on, at least for today and this week. Short segment, Mo, but I do have maybe one of the greatest tweets of all time. I feel like Bruce Pearl is a curse. Once he gets your basketball team to the top, your football team self-destructs.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm not sure that it's completely accurate, but it's a theory. It's
I
all
mean,
Bruce's fault.
it happened to Tennessee. He gets
Did
the
it?
number 1 ranking, and then the next 12 years of our lives were hell.
I just kind of felt like the drop off in football had begun before that.
No, he was there with Kiffin. Kiffin had a decent year.
Okay.
Would have been fine.
Mhm.
It's all Bruce's fault.
Here's a thought on that theory,
Go for
Chris. How many universities can put forth that effort and priority in both of those fields, both of those, football and men's basketball? I mean, think about it.
10.
It's a lot of effort to get both of those at the top of college at the same time. I think it's just a product of effort and priority
Could be.
and momentum.
Momentum for sure.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. I wonder how many schools have had, say, a participant in the national championship football game and a Final Four basketball team in the same school year. Did Florida do it?
06 maybe? Florida?
Basketball was
Mid
early,
2000s Florida was pretty impressive.
yeah.
So maybe because they finally closed the 3-sport loop at one point in there.
It's certainly not something that happens every day. So maybe
No.
it's not just Bruce Pearl. Maybe it's just the nature of the beast per se.
Well, I'd always said that only one Atlanta team can be good at a time.
It's tough.
So, I mean, who
It's,
knows?
it's
As
rare
long
to
as, as long as it continues to be the Braves, I'm good.
Because I don't care about any of the rest
That's right.
of them.
Yep.
Oh, man. We were talking, we asked the question, will Kennedy Chandler be back on Rocky Top next year? What is the effect of a one and done type player maybe not being done after one?
I mean, that's kind of a question I pose, and I think it's interesting just from a roster building, a roster management aspect. I mean, when you expect a guy to leave and then he doesn't, what does that do to the rest of your roster?
And if you're Kennedy Chandler, why not? NBA or not, G League gives you the opportunity to at least make some money.
You're still getting paid, yeah. So, I think it'll be
And-
interesting to keep an eye on. But I don't think from start to finish he has been what was anticipated.
I would 100% agree with you. I just don't know that Tennessee is going to give him any. Somebody told me that, or somebody said that his game just translates better to the NBA than it does to college, especially in a Rick Barnes type program.
A lot of people say that about a lot of kids. I guess the college game is just too restrictive for some of them, or some of the systems that they're in are too restrictive to take full advantage of their talents. So, we'll see.
It's possible. So anyway, I'll be curious to see if he does come back. I don't think he will. I think he'll go G League or be in the league next year. And then finally, big game tomorrow. Tennessee Lady Vols travel to UConn. Again, this game had a lot of eyeballs on it earlier this season, but after Tennessee's loss to Auburn last night to Florida, barely beating was it Arkansas at home, has this game maybe lost some luster? I mean, UConn's been on a skid too.
I still think a top 10 Tennessee team and a top 10 UConn team combined with their history draw some attention. So I'm interested in the Fox telecast on Sunday. I wonder who's going to – I didn't even know Fox had a women's basketball broadcast team. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Well, I don't – maybe it's lost some luster for me as a Tennessee fan. because I'm not looking forward to getting run out of the gym by Gino Ariema.
I don't think they're going to get run out of the gym because I'm not sure how good UConn is, particularly if
I bet they're better than Auburn. That's all. You know me. I'm Mr. Pessimist over here when it comes to Tennessee sports. Just call me the Vandy fan. I'm the Vandy fan of our fan base.
We're not that negative. We're not like that.
I'm just messing with you, JP.
Come on, man.
Giving you a hard time, JP.
Realistic.
Well, realistically, I don't think Tennessee's going to play going to be in the ballgame very. But you're right, Mo. UConn's got some folks out too, so could be a good ball game. I hope it is. Hope the weekend's good too. Make sure to follow Mo at MoPatton_sports for plenty of wrestling coverage this weekend in state duels tournament. He'll be over at the Williamson County Ag Center. We'll have full coverage of high school sports from around the mid-state on MainStreetPreps.com tonight, from Portland to Loretto. Not Dixon, because they just announced that they're not playing tonight, but maybe over in Lebanon. I'm not sure. A lot of games getting canceled, a lot of games getting postponed, a lot of games getting pushed. So keep it on MainStreetPreps.com for full coverage of high school sports in and around the mid-state. MainStreetMurray.com for our coverage as well. Fellas, we've made it through yet another week. Let's come back Monday and do it all over. What do you say?
I'm game.
Might as well.
What else do you have to do, Mo? What else?
I mean, it's Friday, Mo.
You ain't got no job.
Yeah.
Let's come back and react on Reaction Monday. LA Clash of the Coliseum. We'll have some reaction from that. Yeah. We'll have reaction from UT Connecticut tonight. We'll have reaction from all sorts of sporting events from the weekend. Maybe we'll talk about the NHL All-Star game and however in the world that's supposed to go off. So, yeah, plenty to talk about on Monday. Reaction Monday coming back at you at 2:30. Right? No, 2 o'clock. 2:30. What am I talking about? Anyway,
I don't know what you're talking about.
2 o'clock Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. You guys have a great weekend for Mo and JP. I'm Chris. We'll see you then.